Hey, Melissa, you're fast. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of emails about we'll call him Mr. D, the video where he's calling us names. Hi, Sharon. Hey, Mary. Have you guys seen the Mr. D video? I haven't, but people are emailing me telling me that he's calling us names. So I thought we'd figure out how to watch it together, but I don't know how to screen share. So is there anybody who would like to hop up on the panel and then play it if they can make it play? But I think you need to have it like on a different thing. And then we can just go line by line and debunk the debunker, Mr. D. Hi, Gina. Hi, Leaving Landon. Hey, Mama Bear. Hey, DG. Hey, Lisa. I haven't seen it either, but I'm getting a lot of emails, so it must be a funny one. Better yet, if there's anyone who knows how to hop on the panel and then screen share, that'd be even better. But if not, can somebody hop up on the panel and then figure out how to make it play, like the audio? And then we can listen to it together and debunk it. Melissa says she was literally just watching that live when she got the notification. I'm a bear. I'm kind of unsure too, but I'm getting a bunch of emails, and anytime I get that many emails from trusted sources, then it's looking like Mr. D is spending a lot of time focusing on our chats. But who are we kidding? I highly doubt he's ever watched any one of them, right? I think he has his sister wives doing the work for him, right? And then he evidently believes what they say. Or it could be that maybe somebody has hired him and given him a script to read. I did, Lisa, and when I went in and tried it again, I can do the video, but the audio doesn't come through. On the Lake asks, did he not like our 70s and 80s trivia? No, evidently he's calling us names, or basically calling me names, you know. I don't want to drag you guys under the bus with me. I think they're noticing that we have as many people in our chats and as many people subscribing as they do in their actual chats because they buy a lot of subs, you know. So I think they're going, oh crap, that old lady is talking again. Melissa, I think that would be okay if we can hear it. Like, I don't think we have to see it because he's just sitting there, you know, reading his scripts. Probably Bubbles is telling him what to say. I had somebody comment just a few minutes ago on the channel telling me to look it up in the Urban Dictionary because LOL means laugh out loud. And so I replied to that comment saying something to the effect of, it's obvious that you didn't watch the videos. Exactly, Lisa. And I think they're noticing that. So I think they're going to start doing the, you know, Miss Mensa routine. Start doing it. Who am I kidding? They've never let up. But I think from what the emails are saying, there's some pretty humorous stuff in there. So I figured we'd watch it together and, you know, speak truth into his lies. And after this live, I'm going to be uploading a video that is going to blow your hair back. And knowing me, with my big mouth, I'll probably tell you what's on the video before we finish this live. I uploaded the first one to Patreon about an hour ago. So those emails are coming in too. Right, Gina. Mr. Accomplice and Dark Crystals. We have our kick butt defense lawyer, Melissa, working on the technical stuff right now. So I think we'll be able to hear the audio, hopefully. I'm not sure. And there's the link, Melissa, when you get it going. We're not sure, Gina, but from the emails I've received so far, it sounds like he's calling us like derogatory names. Do you guys remember how I put videos up saying that people shouldn't be picking on him? And I wasn't really just saying it about him, I was saying it about everybody, but I was using him as the example and saying how he's older. Just let him be, you know? And then people started posting, do you know how he talks about you? And they started telling me, and I didn't know it actually. I mean, I knew back in 2018 and 2019 he said some stuff. I didn't know he was still. So this will be interesting to hear. Um, Terry, it says, is trying to get up on the panel, and it says devices not connected. So you'll have to like back out and try again. Hey, Stacy. Well, I'm getting a bunch of emails telling me that Mr. D is debunking us and calling us names. So I thought we would watch his debunk video and debunk him. Kind of a right back at you, Mr. D kind of thing. Lisa, do you mean reporting our live or do you mean reporting his live? Well, I'm just curious how he's debunking any of our opinions. Like, how does he debunk somebody else's opinion? It'll be interesting. The emails sound kind of weird so far. He calls us something. I can't remember what it said. He calls us something like we're just, gossiping or something. Not us. We're too busy talking about John Schneider and Tom Selleck. Well, let me do this. I'll go ahead and pull it up. Let's see if I can. Okay, I'm going to play this. Tell me if you can hear this. Did you hear that or no? Okay, how about this? How about if I play it and then tell you what he said? Although that's not as fun as actually hearing it. I think what I need is another device where I could like hold it right up to my computer and let it play, you know? Hey, Melissa.
Hello.
What do you think if you played it on? Well, let's see. Let's see what it sounds like. Maybe we can hear it loud and clear.
Okay, the only thing I'm doing is going to play it from another device, but I don't know how that feedback or anything's going to go. So we could try it. If not, then I'll have to research another way. Okay,
Okay, I think it'll work.
let's see.
First of all, how many of you have heard of Miss Mensa or Miss Lady Justice? Ever think about that? While I get things ready. Right. First of all, we'll start the show off while people are arriving. Good evening. It's a Monday night in a cold London town. Okay. Updates on KK. KK was debunked by me over blaming Nico Atkinson for taking Shanan's love top, the grey love top, away because there was blood on it and it proved that Shanan killed the children. I debunked that a few nights ago. And yesterday we revealed with Edward Blair that KK has been disowned by Chris Watts, Sidney Watts, and the Godfather Watts. I can tell you there's a fallout between the witches. J for Disaster, KK, and Lulu.
Hang on just a second, Melissa.
Looney Lulu.
How does it
Hang on.
sound?
It sounds really good, I think. Is it okay for everyone in chat? It sounds good on my end. I can hear it really well. Did you hear what he said? He's calling. He's sitting up there. What is he, 65, 66 years old? And he's calling women these really weird names. I mean, come on. Come on. I don't think those are his words. Do you think those are his words? I cannot imagine a 60-something-year-old man wanting to call people names like that.
You know, he has a million people constantly messaging him. There's so many people behind the scenes with him. I don't even know if he has a single thought, but he does take credit for everything.
Yeah, that's good. That's true. We should call him Mr. Take Credit for everything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but when he's calling women witches and calling them Lulu, la la, whatever he said, it's like, how childish is that? For a man in his 60s, it's so, especially a man who claims to have so many sister wives, and he's singing them love songs all the time, right? Saying he can be their man. What on earth? What value does he place on women? I just wanted to point that out.
No, absolutely. Anytime you want me to stop, tell me and I'll pause it because I don't even know where it begins. Like I said, I was in the middle of watching the first 5 minutes when your live popped up, and I was just so excited. I switched right over to you.
Yeah, I'll just holler when I hear something weird, and feel free to stop at any time and comment.
Okay, absolutely.
Posting pictures of KK on the internet, what she really looked like, which is a disaster for KK because she was nothing like the picture she posted on her first video. A bit like, it's called catfishing, I hear, where you throw a picture of a beautiful girl and say, this is me, trying to catch some man's eye, and you hope to God they never see what you really look like.
Oh my goodness. Hang on. Did you hear what he just said? I mean, really? Trying to catch some man's eye? He evidently isn't up on the gossip, right?
No, I don't think he realizes that he doesn't have the parts that she's interested in.
Exactly. And how demeaning to be mocking her appearance? What?
That's what people do when they don't have any credibility and don't have anything else to argue. They'll immediately go for personal and looks.
It's just coming from a man in his 60s. He's really out of his league, I think. I think every woman who hears him talk like that is going to feel the EBGBs. I should probably stop interrupting because I have a feeling there's a lot weirder stuff based on the emails I got.
I'm intrigued. I'm really excited. Okay.
She catfished Chris Watts. KK fell out. So Lily Lulu extracted revenge by putting real pictures of this rather bulbous woman on the internet with a real age and real size, things like that, which KK didn't like. That left Jay for adolescents with a big problem. Which side should she take? She took the side of Lily Lulu because she had a book saying that Nico Atkinson was involved, whereas KK just took all the money, so she went that way. And they rushed out to Colorado to make a brilliant homemade documentary with Ronnie Watts, detailing how bad Shanan is, no doubt. Oh, thank you, Robbie. Thank you. Because I always get reported, I can't put a picture up of the real KK because she'd probably complain about it. So you can find it on the internet. If you want to, you'll find it. It's nothing like the picture that she's been using. Chris Watts was in a shock. What? I bet his glasses went up. What? Is that what you look like? Imagine Chris Watts. He was in for a shock and he got one. Sorry, it's not funny. Not funny. But you shouldn't misrepresent what you look like. This is me, and it always will be me. It won't be a thinner me, as opposed to a fatter me, but it's me. I have no inclination. What you look
Oh, stop, Melissa.
like.
Will you rewind just a second? Because I think he just really butchered another word.
No inclination.
What did he say? Inclination?
Inclination. Okay.
Somebody in chat said how they want to tell him that there's an E in Patreon.
All right, hold on.
I think we're stooping to his level, but let's go.
Okay. Hey, listen, this is what happens if you're gonna get up on there and bring other people down, comment on other people. And I don't care how big a person is. I just care about what they have to say. That really shouldn't impact whatsoever. That's so strange to me. You're taking jabs at someone's physical appearance. Who
Exactly.
gives a shit? All I care about is what they have to say and if they're credible, and that's it.
And I don't even care for the KK or the whatever stuff. I mean, I did listen to some of what Lana was saying. And I do actually respect Jay is for Justice for a lot of reasons. But at the same time, I don't care. I don't care at all. And I don't think that somebody sitting over wherever he's sitting, always pumping himself up as being, the armchair detective. I don't think he should even begin to think that he's doing himself any favors by trying to body shame females. Because every female who thinks they're in love with him in his Facebook group, because he always does these like weird music things, every female who kind of, falls to sleep at night thinking that they're in his arms, and I'm not kidding you, I've seen them chatting, they're going to get the creeps. They're going to get the creeps. They're going to think, wow, what kind of a man would talk like that about women? Sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. I could hear that there's a bit of feedback, so I don't want to try to talk over you. Okay, so let me go.
I have no inclination.
Inclination.
The visitors list. And replaced her with Mr. Gillespie, who's got nothing to do with it. It's a circus, man.
I hate to interrupt you again, but hold on just a second. The word how did you say it? Inclination?
Inclination. I don't even know. It's hard for me to mispronounce it.
Well, on a serious note, that does mean he's reading it, because people don't use words that they don't know, but they will mispronounce words that they're reading. And so that word is evidently not in his normal vocabulary, which tells me he's reading it. And it's somebody else's word.
Oh, absolutely. He's just reading the script.
There it is. Leaving Landon said inculation.
Yeah.
Which, I'm not, I love good pronunciation, but I think it just shows that these are not his words.
He's just so happy that that KK seemed to have crumbled down and stuff, that he's just trying to get back up on his high horse and act like, see, I told you, this is what I told you all along.
Yep. Yeah, I think that KK kind of took his shine away a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Between that and his page getting shut down and then having to create all these multiple pages, I'm sure he's taken a big hit. Okay, you want me to continue?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Paula's comment quick. It says, okay, they have been spying because now we are gossiping, the gossiping witches. Okay, that's what I heard in the emails, that we're getting called some names.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, just jump in.
Are you guys getting feedback on it though?
It sounds good here.
Okay. Just tell me when to start.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. We're both being polite.
Chris's ex-girlfriend. Jay for lunacy. And this cray-cray loony woman, Lala, that... no, I can stop laughing, that's serious, but dresses up as a zombie Shanan that makes jokes about her being dead and the miscarriages and the children. And Ronnie's with that woman now in Colorado making a film. Shame on Ronnie. Really sick. KK's tagline, Revelation of the Reckoning, the #1 channel to watch at any Chris Watts C35. Hear from Chris Watts himself with his parents, Ronnie and Cindy here. Stay tuned. What? None of them speak to her. They all hate her. It's hilarious. She's still claiming inside knowledge. None of them speak to her. And she's running shows as we speak. Oh, yeah, nothing's changed. No, I've decided not to speak to him anymore. This is what she says. There was things going on that she doesn't like. So she decided not to speak to Cindy anymore, who she pressed on Dying Love for just a few weeks ago. And Ronnie, her friend Ronnie, has disowned her. And Chris Watts calls her the Obi-Wan, the evil one. But never mind, she's the go-to channel for all things Watts family. Have you noticed the Watts family discard people, KK? Have you noticed that yet? You have. Poor Ronnie, he didn't like clue what's going on, was he? He's out there making a documentary with my friend. I fully recommend what she's saying. You have to know Shanan. If you don't know Shanan, you don't know Shanan. You have to. That's all I'm saying. You have to know Shanan to. I bet it'd be a great documentary with subtitles, right? Anyway, KK made a lot of money, but she's still pretending.
Okay, hold on a second.
I get over that.
Hold on a second. Back to the inclination. Remember how Christopher Watts used that word a lot? And also the guy in the park whose wife kind of was nudging him to remind him it was his turn to talk or something? He used the word inclination also. And people have commented on that, how weird it is how many people in this case have used the word inclination. Because that isn't a regular word, right?
Right.
So for him to be mispronouncing it, meaning it's in one of his scripts, kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Just how closely tied to the BS he is. Just kind of weird.
Up with it.
And then the way he just talked about Ronnie, I think is disgusting. He's making jokes about Ronnie because Ronnie doesn't speak as clearly as he does. Like, that's like really down there. And saying how as long as it had subtitles, then they'd be okay. I would dare say that Ronnie's brain cells are firing far better than many others. You know what I mean? I mean, I've spoken with Ronnie.
Absolutely.
He speaks very clearly on the phone.
It's the same exact way that taking the digs at KK, and for people the way they look, it's the same thing. It's a way for them to distract from what they are saying and focus on this and focus on that. I don't know. He talks slow. He talks with an accent. You know, she's fat. It's just
Exactly.
turn and look the other way. Don't listen to what they're saying. Just look at this.
Exactly. Good point. Exactly right. Whenever I say exactly right, I think that's the cue. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm joking. I just say exactly right, and then I sit here and read comments, and then I realize, wait a minute, we're not talking.
Okay. Anytime there's like a 2-second gap, I'll just press play.
Okay, good.
Several times, KK, please come to Colorado. Please come to. She said, no, I don't want to. She said there were things that she didn't want to align to. And she didn't like how people were being treated. Before she'd do anything they say. Yeah, you don't want Chris to be guilty? I'll say that Shanan did it. It doesn't matter. Chris doesn't say it. I'll say it for you. Yeah, anything. As long as you make me make money. But now she's worried about how people are being treated. What a great, honourable woman she is.
Just a quick interruption.
Yeah,
I think
I was about to say it's pretty funny that he's talking about all she cares about is making money when that's
exactly
all he cares
exactly
about.
Ditto. Exactly.
That's the only reason he was so mad at KK. It wasn't because of the content that she was coming out with. It was that people were willing to pay even more than his outrageous Patreon cost. And
exactly.
She was gathering it, and that pissed him off.
Exactly right. Oh, there, I did it again. Exactly right. And then I went quiet.
That's why I pressed play.
No, I don't hear him.
He's not talking.
Other cases, no standard. Will any of you listen to a word she says about any case whatsoever? She's going to continue her channel. What for? She won't. She closed it down because she can't even have comments on her videos. She will continue her channel till the money dries off, which is now. She's struggling to explain her way out of this one. I have Zoom meetings arranged with Christopher. Poor Cindy, I will solve this for them. We're going to do a C35. None of them speak to you, KK. None of them. Heather, my friend, verified that Chris himself took her off the visitors list. Not that she'd ever been there. It was Chris's choice. KK did not decide to cut ties. It was Chris that chopped her off for the umbilical cord. Okay, that's number one. Dirtbag exposure finished. No point of continuing. She hasn't got any content. And now she hasn't got the what's. She has less than nothing. Right.
Yeah, what the hell do you have, AD?
Circus. Alan, you should play one of your tracks. How about, yes, I am the great pretender.
I would like to say I am the person who coined the term "the circus came to town."
Oh, she brought us in a lot of interest in the case. She did stir up some interest in the case. All of her content comes from Cindy. I'm not happy the way they treat people. You mean? You're not happy the way they treat you. Delusional much. It was a distraction of our friend Horse with No Name, wasn't it? That's what it was. Was really. So, moving on. Have you heard the rumour? And it's not even a rumour, they say it. There's creators out there. Oh, new member, Marcy. Hello, Marcy. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so an awful rumour. Some people were saying before to me in chat, have you made this up, Alan? It's such an awful accusation that people were saying, have I made up the accusation? Let alone is the accusation true? There's a woman out there, I don't know what she's on, but she says, and I'll quote, that Shanan had much humans by proxy, some sort of thing like that. What was that woman, that famous case? Gypsy.
Stop a second, Melissa.
She said that.
He can't pronounce Munchausen by proxy.
Can't pronounce anything.
Did you hear how he said there's a woman out there and she makes the accusation, right? Actually, I choose my words very carefully. Even when I'm ranting, I choose my words carefully. And I actually don't make the accusation of anything. I say, in my opinion, I think it's obvious, based on all of her own videos, based on all of her own words, that those poor little girls were being medically abused. That is not saying that I'm making an accusation. Making an accusation would be saying it differently, and if I say it that way, then the scumbags will just copy that part and say, see, she said it. So anyway, I just wanted to point out that little thing.
Okay.
Shanan was saying an awful thing to say. That's what she says, maintains it. And she maintains that Shanan wasn't allowed to be left alone with the children. She was allowed to be left with the children. And worst of all, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what she says. And you can watch her videos, and she says it over and over again, along with a bunch of cronies. Not being disrespectful to her, she can have her own opinion. But she says it as if it's fact that Shanan had twins before Bella. There you go. That's what she says. I don't. I totally disagree. No debunk 'em. And I'm disgusted that she says it. I'm disgusted that people listen to her. and people believe it. How can she be on the internet? I don't know, but she is. That's what she says. Anyone here heard her say that?
I'm sorry, but it's just like everything he tries to claim other people are is exactly what
It's him. It's him. He's projecting big time.
And you
I
never
think-
ever like say things with certainty. That's why I always give you praise. It's because it's an open discussion and we throw out theories and we try to figure out if it's possible, if it's plausible. But I don't ever hear you say with fact that this is how it is.
Exactly. And what I have said about the issue of whether or not she had twins before Bella, what I have said, in fact, the video that I first spoke about it, I said, you guys, I just saw a channel creator who is insisting that it's true, and she's saying she knows it, da 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 da. There were at least 2 other channel creators who did videos about this issue before I said a word. I've also said the thing about her, whether or not she could drive the kids and stuff like that I have received phone calls. I have had people sending me information, telling me information, and this is what they're saying. I've never said, guess what, guys? Let me tell you something. I think it's hilarious that it isn't hilarious. It's all ridiculous, but I think it's ironic that he's saying that I say it as if it's fact. He said, she has a right to her opinion, but she says it as if it's fact. That's something that the scumbag attackers have been saying in their comments for 2.5 years. This script that he's reading, I have no doubt in my own mind, it sounds to me just like the same scripts that have been attacking us for 2.5 years. The same words, the same little, she's saying it as fact. Like, ooh, she sounds assertive. Ooh, right?
When I was looking at the live chat, there was a lot of people that really didn't even ever hear of you, but it's the few same people who just say just a short little comment about you and sum you up as this bad evil person, and
right.
then the rest of them just follow suit. They don't even know you though. They don't even take the time to go. Unlike me, when I heard about you, I took the time to go because I'm like, all right, I wanted to investigate this for myself, and you were nowhere near the way the people were explaining you to be. And
exactly. And it should be noted too that when I joined his Facebook, I got blocked because people in his Facebook were saying, hey, how are you? I'm glad you're here. And I got blocked quick. And then when I commented one time on a live chat, I got blocked. I'm blocked on his channel. So I think if he's going to be making videos about me, he should at least unblock me so that I could enter the conversation.
Right, that's the least you can do. You want to act like the big bad wolf up there, you would be open to, hey, come on my channel, let's discuss it. Let me prove to everyone how ridiculous you are while I debunk your theories. Instead, no, you sit there and you mouth off and you have every option to have contact with her blocked and you just spew all your lies. And that's not right. I guarantee if you come up here, you would drop that StreamYard link in a second and say, please come up on panel, let's discuss it.
Exactly, but I think he can only operate from his scripts that other people write for him. So I don't think he would ever dare engage in any discussion.
Oh, absolutely. He doesn't have anyone who comes on his channel in the opposing viewpoint. It's just everyone who backs him up. And then he takes the credit for everything. I'm genuinely curious if he ever found a damn thing for himself, because everything the group comes back, my investigative team, he just takes another win for the armchair detective. It's like, what have you actually done yourself?
I agree.
Okay, I'm going to continue.
Because I am. Has anyone heard I'll call it, say that Shanan had twins before Bella? Has anybody heard that? Might drop him. That's what she says. That's what she says every night. Every night.
That's what she says every night.
I think I've seen one discussion where we brought it up and it was just like, hey, did you hear this? And you were talking about it, informing all the other people who are questioning what's this theory. You never once even it's not like that was you coming out of the ground and saying, hey, yes, this is the facts, this is what happened.
Exactly.
No, it was all of us discussing, well, I heard this, I heard that. I said, I don't think I believe that. Some people said they did. You said, I don't know. It was, this is not a daily night discussion.
Exactly right. And it goes to show he's never watched any of our videos.
No, absolutely not.
It's also, in a serious note, he's promoting hatred and harassment is what he's doing, because a lot of his followers are going to take that information as if it's truth, and then they're going to start posting their crap on the comment threads. And, today there were about 10 comments of people calling me, all sorts of evil. So it's like, here they go.
I think he is trying to prevent people, because I really feel like the tide is changing. Like, there's so many more new groups on Facebook, but my point is there's a huge percentage more that are speaking out about Shanan and the way she was baby wise and the way she treated those kids. And I think he's just trying to use his platform to prevent anyone from finding your channel, because there are more people coming over to your channel and discussing and finding you.
Exactly.
And saying, I didn't know that there was an option to have discussions like this, because you automatically get bashed no matter what your viewpoint is. If you're
Exactly.
So
exactly.
He's just trying to cancel you before you even
exactly.
before they find you.
And there's a hidden message also when they pull this kind of crap, because when they so publicly abuse one person who has a different opinion, then it's almost like a subliminal message to the masses: be careful what you say. And you're right, the tide is turning, because people who up to this point were hiding out in the private chat groups, the private discussion groups, because of all the attacks, they're coming out now and they're speaking. So it isn't just one person or two people or 10 people, right? And I think somebody like Mr. D is sitting there going, how is she getting any views? What's going on? Why aren't we getting more views?
Right.
Going on about Christopher Watts' wife. She said she had him with her first husband. Not true.
I've never said that. That isn't even what the other channels were saying. They were saying that she had them after that, when Christopher Watts went to Colorado before her. They were saying that that's when she had them.
Yeah, and I heard it was with like the Dirty South boss and stuff. And that's why she divorced from her first marriage, because he found out something like that. I've heard a lot of different theories, but not that it was from her first husband.
Exactly. I've never said that at all.
Chat, these people who are going, what's he on about? It's not me. It's MM. And I don't mean Mary Morrow. Theory. Yeah. So there's another one we've got to deal with. Looney Lulu, J for Jaundice, KK, Crazy KK, and now Mad. What's she call herself? Misintelligent. Let's call her Misintelligent. She calls herself Misintelligent, which is like, why call yourself that if you are?
At least she could pronounce words.
Please tell her it's rubbish. The same way as I proved that the girl at the airport wasn't NK. The girl on the beach wasn't on NK, she's at work. NK's car is not the red car, she's got a black car. KK was lying to all along. Chris Watts never said that Shanan killed the children since that one confession. KK hasn't got the support of Cindy, Ronnie, and Christopher Watts. Now, Misintelligent, you're wrong. Shanan has never had twins. What she is a good Samaritan. I'll let a friend of the show, Megan, tell you the full story, and then I'll talk about it. And it is a sad story. I think it involves suicide. Thank you. Hello, love. All right, nice to see you again. How are you?
Hi, good to see you. Not very well.
Oh, you're not very well?
No, I had a couple surgeries and I broke my front tooth and now I have coronavirus. So.
You got coronavirus as well? Oh, what's it
Yeah,
got?
terrible. I worked for about 3 weeks. I had gallbladder surgery, hernia surgery. I broke my front tooth at work, and then me and my husband got coronavirus.
I'm sorry to drag you
Negative
on.
33 degrees the last time I worked, last Monday. So, 7 o'clock in the morning, I was a mess. Yeah. Yeah, I
Ask you to say hello to us.
I messaged Shanan today when I saw the live. Of course, I've been at home since I've been off work, and I caught Critical Role last night, and I never usually watch.
Okay. Someone in chat saying this is old news. I know it's old news, but what's new news is that I've got hold of the person who is the sister of the actual twins. If you have a bit of patience and listen to the whole thing, you might find a better story. Heard it all before. Jesus God Almighty.
Sure, but she had Kraft and Barnes on there, and they were talking, and had that lady that wrote Cindy's book, that Kathleen Houston.
Oh yeah. She's a bit naughty. She says that Chris abused the kids. I don't like that.
Right, I don't.
Without
Yeah.
any proof.
But I like that Kraft, and they were.
He's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose channel was this? Sorry. Whose channel was this?
Critical K's.
Blimey. She doesn't normally do that. She doesn't do that sort of stuff.
And she's like, once he came out with the confession, she changed, because I hadn't watched her since back when she wasn't really an advocate for Shanan,
No,
and, so I kind of dropped off of that, and I was bored. I couldn't sleep. I was coughing. And I saw that on there, and she was showing screenshots. And from this Kelly, and I was like, well, I didn't know that Kelly was a girlfriend, so I asked Shanan, and she was out shopping today in Missoula, and I was like, hey, you got to see this. And of course, I sent you the screenshots. And
what was she saying about Kelly? About being
she said that Kelly and Chris had a relationship. But
yeah. But we knew that, didn't we? We knew that, didn't we?
I didn't know that.
Okay, the first point here, Shanan is a fan of the show, who's very close to the Watts and Chris and me. She told me ages ago there's a girl called Kelly that's been in the background for a long time in this case. And, well, it's worse than that. This Kelly is in the foreground and always has been. This Kelly was the one that got Anna as Chris's #1 woman. This Kelly was the one that took Anna away as #1 woman. And Kelly was the one that put Cray Cray as #1 woman. Kelly is a strong woman. Kelly is the one that Chris dated, that you all heard about, when she was on the rebound from the divorce that used Chris. But she's a strong woman. She still controls Chris to this day. That might come as a shock to you, but that's the truth. Kelly is Jamie Watts' best friend. Jamie Watts' best friend is an ex-girlfriend of Chris Watts. So what do we got? A strong sister. A strong ex-girlfriend controlling him now. A strong controlling mother. A strong Shanan. A super strong mistress. You see the connections? Kelly is in control of this. The silent one. Like a sister. Like the sister. The silent one. I didn't know that.
I knew he had a relationship with somebody, but I asked Shanan, she's like, yeah, that's true. That is true.
I thought Kelly was Jamie's friend.
Yeah, she is. But she's the woman that had the affair with her, that had the relationship with Chris.
I didn't know that.
Prior to Shanan.
Shanan said she told me.
Mm-hmm.
Shanan said she told me ages ago. I forgot, I suppose. Yeah.
He was the rebound guy, and then he got with Shanan.
Yeah, rebound, yeah. That was her then.
And
now she's been involved. Now she's involved in the filming.
Yeah. And apparently, I have a black eye. But anyway, she said on Kay last night. They also said that, and she had a lot of stuff on there that's been confirmed. I don't usually, like I said, I usually just watch you. I watch Dr. B, and
yeah, but this is all good stuff. What else is said?
And that Kelly is the one that got rid of KK, that got rid of KK or Anna, not KK. Kelly got
Hey,
rid of Anna.
hey, Melissa.
Yep.
I think he said he was going to debunk the twins or something. Is there a way you could just like flip forward and find that debunking?
I mean, if somebody knows the timestamp, I don't know exactly where it is.
Okay, let's
right
ask.
now, he's
Let's see
pulling
if the
up
chat.
Yeah, let's see if the chat knows, because right now he's alone commentating, but he pulled up another video of like him and this girl Megan Philippe, and like so he's going through his audio with her, and apparently she's debunking it. I don't know though.
Right, and it seems like kind of interesting that anybody would think that they would be able to debunk that. You know, I mean, just
Sure, he
watch.
just found someone else who had twins, and he's trying to say that's the person who had twins. You could take any mom of twins and say, no, see, that's the person who had twins, not Shanan.
Exactly. Like, how can you debunk if somebody has a deeply held dark secret? How can somebody debunk it by saying no, that's not true, right? That doesn't debunk anything. I don't know. It just seems like it's kind of creepy. I don't know if you guys agree in chat, but his voice is just creepy. I don't know. When he was doing that, little monologue there, it was like, ugh, ugh.
Oh, what's creepy to me is like him saying, like armchair detective debunked the NK in North Carolina photo, debunked the airport photo, and it's like, I'm sorry, how are you taking credit to anyone with eyes was capable of seeing that clearly was not NK walking through the airport. That clearly was not NK sitting on the beach. Like, and he, like, this is what I'm saying. He takes credit for everything. Like, how are you taking that credibility? I was well aware of that without you, but he feels like he pumps himself up so much, and he sits on this high stand, and he really believes that people aren't able to think for themselves.
Well, and to think that he is even discussing this when the NK thing was debunked in 2018, and he has spent the last 2.5 years trying to get views off of the NK theory, right? It's so ironic that he is even involving himself with a comment that was made, like you said, in 1 or 2 videos, right? It's incredible, just incredible. Susie said, it's near the end. The cousin has spoken. Susie, how near the end? Because I don't know about you guys, but ugh, his voice is just ugh. It gives me the creeps. And I'll tell you, when I joined that Facebook thing and he was playing that love music, I quickly looked at that and went, he's trying to kind of act like he's everybody's man or something. And the first song that he chose was I'll come home to you, I'll be your man, or something like that. And it's just like, ew. And these women were lining up to say all sorts of gush to him that it was like, ooh, this is, if they weren't sending him money, then whatever, if they're all over 18, I guess whatever. But they're sending him money. Ew. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for that.
I'm trying to figure out where exactly it is.
That was perfect timing for him to say thank you for that.
Okay.
We should cut that clip, the thank you for that, and then we should talk and then have play thank you for that.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put myself on mute so I could jump through.
That's actually a really good idea. We could do something like, "Dear Mr. D, I know we're just, a coven of witches, right? And don't want to say witches. We're a coven of wenches, but we want to give you some advice. If you want to, like, play like you're Mr. Casanova, you might want to up your game just a little bit because you're a little bit too transparent for most women." And then we can play his clip going, "Thank you for that. Number 1, get a new pair of glasses, because we kind of wonder if maybe your glasses aren't that way on purpose so that you can read your scripts without being detected. No pun intended." And then he can go, thank you for that. Covens of cronies. I like that better, Daisy Days. We're a coven, not a coven. We're a coven of cronies. That's a lot better even than wenches. Cosmic Messenger says he thinks he's James Bond.
Okay, I think I found it.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Danielle?
Who made a call to the police asking questions.
I don't think it's our judge.
If you know the discovery, you heard me read it out. Cousin of Shanan phones from many miles away. That's Danielle.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Is he claiming Danielle is the source of information?
I don't know. I haven't seen this.
Because Danielle is in direct contact with another person who I won't say because the person told me in confidence. But this makes this all even more interesting. Wow. Go ahead.
Danielle is Sandy's sister. The information that Megan to release is simple. Danielle has younger siblings. They are indeed twins. Old news? Old news, they're saying, chat. Shut up, AD. Case is closed, there's nothing to say. So, stuff for you guys.
So that's the go-to source?
I guess so.
Oh, I feel so debunked.
Okay, let's see if there's anything else.
Shanan watched these kids, these twins, and cared for them. They're not hers. My question is, why is it left to me instead of either family to save Shanan again? Why?
Oh, brother.
Now, I've got 300 messages here from Danielle. I'm not going to play them until she gives me permission. But she did say I could play the one about the twins. I'll just play it again.
Yeah, the cat. And what is AD? And if anybody is close to my family or knows my family, they know that my twin brother sister is not Shan's kid. So I don't know why people want to make a big deal about it, because if they know anything about my family, or friends of my family, they know these things.
She's got a lot more to say, and I'm waiting for her to say it. I've seen pictures of it. I want to show you a picture. I want to show you a picture. But I'm waiting for her to reply. She's a beautiful young girl, young lady, same age as Shanan, with a beautiful baby.
Who gives a crap?
She's no longer friends with us.
It's not relevant. Like, I knew he was going to do that. I knew he was going to just pull up some close relation to the family that has twins and say, there it is. Another one solved by AD. Not at all. I'm sorry. That would even more make me believe that you could possibly have twins, because twins is a genetical thing. You know, if someone in your family had twins, it's more likely that you would. You know, it's genetics. You didn't prove anything. You didn't debunk a thing.
I'm looking up the GoFundMe's right now for that name to see. I see 2 of them. It looks like it's still current, too. I wonder if AD gave anything to the GoFundMe.
You know what's funny? I saw him post a GoFundMe for like another YouTuber who like had an accident. And you know, his page was floating it out, trying to get everyone else. And I clicked on to see if he even donated, and he didn't. And I'm like, how are you promoting a Patreon? I mean, like a GoFundMe for a tragic accident, and you didn't even bother, but like donating, not even $1. That's ludicrous.
You know, you guys, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, and I'm not even talking college, I'm talking high school. I think it was even the 10th grade. I think it was a sophomore in high school. We were able to choose electives. I was on the college prep course, and we were able to choose from some really interesting, very interesting electives. You know, we had to take the basics, but then we had like 2 or 3 slots we could choose interesting classes. I chose classes like critical thinking. That was the title of one. Minority groups was the title of another. You know, we had the opportunity to learn how to debate, how to discuss, how to organize different concepts in a way, even visually, okay? If you take a 10th grader's class instruction and apply it to what AD is trying to pull off, or I'm sorry, Mr. D is trying to pull off with this debunking routine, what he is saying is that apples are yellow. That's what he's saying. And you'd have to take the critical thinking class to know what that means. But there are certain basic principles of logic and reason. He just totally bypassed all of them. There is absolutely no debunking going on to say that there are twins in the family. Like you just said, Melissa, so what if somebody else has twins in the family? That has nothing to do with what that channel creator made very clear, that she's insisting that she knows it to be true, okay? And I don't mean me, I'm talking about that video that I saw. She evidently knows people right in North Carolina. Whether or not there are twins somewhere, it means nothing. It means it's like saying that an apple is yellow and everyone just nodding their head and going, yep, apples are yellow. And the way you get there is, you know, apple is a fruit, banana's a fruit, apples are red, bananas are red. You put them all in the same circle and apples are yellow. You see what I mean?
I mean, I guess I don't get it because some apples are yellow.
Well, I didn't mean that. You know what I'm saying? Or in relationship to bananas, okay?
Yeah.
But it's like there's no rhyme or reason to what just happened.
No, I think he's the kind of person that he believes if he speaks with conviction and he speaks with confidence, that it means what he's saying is truthful. And unfortunately there are a lot of people who just nod their heads and believe it. And I genuinely wonder, because you look at the people in the chat and it's like, even the person you love most and you're following and you're watching there's gonna be something you disagree with, and that doesn't mean you don't have to like them, but you can't possibly agree with every single thing someone else says. That's just it's not likely. And the fact that all these people are encouraging him and like, yes, you are so right, AD, yes, and if God forbid you say no, because like I said, I genuinely just dropped in and I didn't agree as something you said was not true, and I got blocked and deleted and thrown off, and I said it completely respectful. So what they do is, because it's overwhelming when you're looking at that chat and all you see is yes, 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 you're right, I see it, I see the shadow, I see NK's face and the reflection of a truck zoomed out times 100. It makes you feel like, well, then I'm the one that's not seeing something. But in reality, no, they just boot anyone who has the opposing viewpoint, and that's ridiculous.
Right, and that's exactly what's wrong with this case right from the start, is that they're trying to control who is able to speak, and that's just wrong. That's absolutely wrong. And I feel sorry for this person who he is using. I do feel sorry for this person because I understand that she's actually been meeting with somebody regularly. And I think it's very, very sad if he's pulling in another family member, I would say under the guise of we're here to help routine, right? I mean, come on, it's using people is what they're doing. They're, oh, this is her cousin, right? This is her cousin. So that, again, elevates him in his own brain. Well, in fact, what they're saying makes no sense at all. None. I wonder if he's paying her or if he's being paid or quite how this works. Because I think he is reading a script, my hunch is that with her involvement, that probably he has been recruited or hired to pull this video off.
He has so many people working behind the scenes, and that's fishy to me. When you're doing a live stream and you have an earpiece in and your phone's blowing up, that means what you're saying isn't even coming directly from you. It's just, I don't
Right.
like, it's very impersonal.
Right. Tom Davis says, keep listening. He calls you Miss Menstrual shortly.
Are you serious?
If he goes to that, I mean, and that's what the attackers do. This is concerning, actually, because this script that he's reading is written by the pack of attackers. That's what the attackers do regularly on the comments, and I dump them in the trash can. But they're constantly calling me that. And that, to me, shows such a lack of emotional development. And it also, they may not realize it, but it shows that whoever's writing the shit scripts for them, they have a problem with their grandmother. They have a problem with their grandmother big time. Something happened in their writer's early years that was not safe or healthy. Just saying, because who does this? I mean, that's just so disgusting. And especially, too, it's not like it's a 40-year-old woman and a few women talking about whatever their cycles or whatever, and then talking about this topic, right? But for a man to be even using that term is really disgusting.
Well, what I want to know is what particular thing did you say that got him to start speaking about you again? What was it specifically? Because in all honesty, you have very well-rounded panel guests. You have very good, opposing viewpoints, and I think he might be getting a little bit jealous of maybe the trial coming up, because I think it was a really good idea what you're trying to do. And I really hope it works out. And I know for sure it's something that a lot of people on all the different platforms, no matter what their viewpoint, wanted to see. Because even on the, on people who are all pro Shanan, they always wanted to see a mock trial. People who are in the middle, they want to see it. And
right.
I think he might have been a little bit jealous with that.
That could be, and he may not know how to pull it off.
But if you come on, if anybody, because what he's describing of you, if anybody just took the time to come over here, what the hell are we talking? We're talking about, well, I don't believe this, like, what's your theory with this? Okay, let's do the phonetic alphabet, this, that. It's very just calm and a good discussion, with good people. We very rarely get bad people in the chats, and if it doesn't mess up the flow of it. Anybody could really have their opinion in the chat, and people are, for the most part, very respectful about it and will discuss it. So what exactly about you is so pissing him off?
Well, actually, it's part of the organized attack, because they need to have a scapegoat. They need to have people who they can, like, did you hear his little slight against Mary Marlowe? Mary Marlowe was actually one of the attackers to begin with, but then evidently she was no longer of use to the pack of attackers. But they still drop her name all the time. They drop her name all the time. I think he's reading a script. I think it's the actual pack of attackers. It's the organized attack that has him doing it. I don't think he's angry at all. He's part of the scam. The only way that any attention is on this case 2.5 years later, to the degree that it is because people like Mr. D have kept the drama going and kept the attention on the case. They're all part of the scam. Nobody's going to make any money off of this case if people lose interest in it. He has no reason to be angry with me. In fact, I have a private chat with him, with him speaking with somebody else in a private chat, saying how bad he feels because he knows that the attacks against me were all staged. Okay? He's part of it. He's part of it in whatever way, I don't know. But I, for one, don't believe that he's actually being attacked by people. I think there are a handful of channels who actually don't like him. But I think for the most part, the big attack against him, I've come to learn, really figure out, he's part of the whole program. It's the only way they can keep attention, because if any of these channels, including him, if they would actually discuss the case, well, that would mean they would have to actually be able to, read the discovery, engage in adult conversations, pick apart details, offer up theories, right? None of the other channels do that. All they ever do is either just flat out read and say nothing, or they talk about other channel creators like we are right now. But I would like to point out, we are not short on content.
Well, at the end of the day, what's his content? His content contains going around and bashing all other the different YouTube creators and what their content is. How about you get your own content?
Right, exactly. And the whole idea of the shadows, anyway, I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone in chat who may really believe they see something. I have never seen anything in the shadows. In whatever his claims are, I've never seen it.
I disagree. The one video like that I'm referring to, I'm not talking about his 100 times zoomed in, you see this shadow and the red card. No. I'm just talking about when Chris bends over and you see a shadow going up to him. I definitely see that. Now I can't tell you if it's altered footage or what. All I know is
Right.
that one moment, that one image, I do see a small shadow approaching and he does bend over and pick it up. And I don't give that credit to AD. I give that credit to my own freaking eyes. I don't know what it was or what it may have been. I don't know. I'm not speculating, but I do see that.
Right.
That's one of the major reasons why, and I told you from the beginning that I feel like he may have been guilty, is because that really was a big thing for me.
Right. And I think I've just discounted it right from the start, because right at how my own brain works, I think, is when Christopher Watt's father-in-law said that he saw the video, that he saw him carrying them out like trash. My thought was, if the investigators had those videos, they would have had, they wouldn't have released anything too sensitive, and they would have had awareness of what was on the videos. So that comment has always kind of, that's been bothersome to me, because then, of course, in February of 2019, he changed his whole story, right? So
I don't care what the story is. I care what I can see and put together with facts and my own eyes. And that was really, because didn't the DA come out and admit to the shadows as well? I mean, I only know that because AD has blown it out in every single live that, yes, it's me, the one who broke the case wide open, and the reason that Chris confessed and showed the DM themselves that there's a shadow.
I have a question. When you see in that video, when you see him pick something up, what happens then? Can you tell?
Okay, so it's like the whole video of him walking back and forth from the truck to the garage, and at no point do I see him pulling like a dead weight like Shanan. And some people claim that they do. I don't. That's another reason why I'm like iffy, is because like if he couldn't even carry her down the stairs. Even if he dragged her out, you would see some kind of shadow, or at least the weight of the truck would move. If you put that dead weight down, the truck should at least bounce a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
And the dogs would have hit on the truck too.
Oh, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just going by what I can see. But at that point, he turned, and it was more towards the end of the video. He's walking back from, I think it's the driver's side front of the truck, and you see a small shadow come and approach from where the what's it called, the garage would be, and comes up to him, and you can tell it's its own figure. It's not like a shadow that was already there. It was a moving figure, and he bends down and it swoops it up, and the position of his body also it reenacts the way you would swipe a child up and turn around and kind of put them on your hip, and then walks back up to the truck, and very shortly after that he drives away. I don't
Could it have been Dieter? Could it have been that Dieter ran out?
know, because Dieter was already locked. He right from there, like I said, he already drove away. And the shadow was
Okay.
big.
Okay.
But Dieter was locked up when he arrived back. So that I think that there might have been a strong possibility that Bella was still alive, but Cece probably wasn't, or at least very lethargic from what was going on. Because I'm not sure of what I believe happened. Like I said, as much as I don't believe Chris could have done that, and as much as I know Shanan, definitely had some form of Munchausen by proxy and was doing some weird shit with those kids, I still don't definitely believe that she would strangle her kids at the same time. I struggle with them both.
Right. That email that I got yesterday morning really has me thinking on a different path right now, because they said that it was a thriver who emailed me who said that they lay their 3 pills out on their nightstand, right? And then they wear their patches 24 hours a day except for 40 minutes in the morning. They're supposed to take the patch off when they first wake up, remove the patch, and then they're supposed to take their 3 pills, and then within 40 minutes they're supposed to put their next patch on. She also said that the patches are they're like medical adhesives, so they're very difficult to remove, as opposed to, like, they're not gonna, like, you can go in the shower, you can go in the pool and everything, and they won't slip at all. And so she basically said you have to pretty much tear it off, right? It wouldn't just come off. In her autopsy, there was no mention at all of any patch. So I'm beginning to think that her time of death was after she woke up. And I'm beginning to think that she woke up when he backed the truck into the driveway. That's just my opinion, and I know I'm way out there. So it's interesting to hear that you see something, because I haven't. I'll have to take a closer look, because that would screw up with my theory.
No, that like I said, unless someone came out and altered it, and I don't know, but this is the footage that you could download specifically from, the whatever website. I don't even know what it is, but it's clear as day to me. I can see that, and as weird as it sounds, I have a child. I know the way shadow. You obviously know the way shadow works. You've had a shadow your whole life, and it's just
Right.
something about the way that shadow comes out. It mimics the correct size of a child at Bella's height would be, compared to the shadow that Chris Watts is casting the entire time, and it comes directly up to him, and it's the swooping maneuver. It's the bend down and lift right up, and he turned right back. Like I said, he was walking towards the garage, and as the shadow comes towards him, he bends over, picks up, and turns right back around. Why would he turn right back around? It's because he
Right.
picked her up and put her in the truck, and shortly after that he left. So that's major to me. That's major.
Okay, and how does it work as far as video manipulation? Do you think that is possible?
I definitely think that's possible, but apparently the DA came out and confirmed it, that this is actually the shadow. We overlooked this.
Okay, so then how does that fit with them claiming that they saw the bodies being carried out like trash?
That's what I wanted. Because if you're looking at the same footage I'm looking at, I don't see the bodies being carried out like trash. I could barely see shit,
Right, and if they saw the bodies,
footage.
if they saw the bodies being carried out like trash, then obviously there wouldn't be a shadow, right?
I mean, if you saw the bodies being carried out like trash, why can't I see an NA son on top of her hood, jumping on it, looking in through that garage and stuff? Why can't I see that while she's in front of the house for hours trying to look in, trying to get this over? Where's that? If you could see it clear as day in the middle of night from Nate's camera, why can't I see that?
Right.
This is what pisses me off about this case, is that they could put us to rest. We didn't have a shit to talk about if you simply come out and give us easy information that would debunk all of us. I'd love to be debunked with my theory. Give it to me. All we want is the facts. And
well, the truth is hard to come by in this case, and it has been right from the start. And you remember, Christopher Watt's father-in-law made a video saying that we're never going to know the truth. He said Weld County doesn't tell people like us. He said he knows the truth, but he says we're never going to know the truth. He said that Weld County doesn't tell people like us.
Didn't I thought I remember hearing that they said that the footage that Frankie and the family saw was different footage that we would never see.
Right, but if they saw footage of the family being carried out like trash, then the whole idea of any shadow video makes no sense. The whole idea of the children dying twice makes no sense. You know what I mean? It's
No,
like,
like I said, if you didn't know what you were doing and you didn't understand that somebody could be knocked unconscious, but that doesn't mean that they're dead, okay, then there's a chance that maybe one of the kids would wake up. But for the chance that both the kids woke up, both times it wasn't long enough for them to die, that's hard to believe.
well, and if you're knocked unconscious, there's a very short window before you're conscious again. You know, he doesn't load his truck, load the bodies, and then figure out they're alive. You know what I mean? If you're knocked unconscious, you're usually not unconscious for more than 30 seconds or something. You know, people don't lay there for 5 minutes unconscious and then all of a sudden go, bing, I'm awake now.
It's a very, low possibility for one of them to wake up, not, let alone two of them both wake up. That just
Exactly.
doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
that's right up there with needing surgery on the same day, or both of them having familial Mediterranean fever. Like
Right.
the likelihood is zero.
Well, that's why I said I'm not, if I'm going with the, Chris possibly doing this, I I'm so certain that I see him picking up what I most likely would relate it to Bella as that shadow. I think Cece may have already been passed away at that point. Because between that and the timing and what he would have had to do when he gets the oil site, it doesn't make sense. And that's more of a reason why if if Bella did say those words, did you do to me what you did to see? That's because she had already been riding in that car and she knew her sister was gone.
Yeah, I just don't believe any of it. I think that they were murdered in their bedrooms, and I think that he drove off to work without knowing anything. But I know
I'd be
very
open to that, but what a far stretch that is, for him to not know anything, and for what NA to walk in and see Shanan and that crime scene, process that, have your initial reaction, then call what Sandy and Frank, and have Sandy and Frank somehow contact someone else and get all of this done. And we were already working with a short time frame, but then to turn it into that, have it all done, and then have Chris find out that happened. Yet, I mean, if you want to talk about, the footage of him going on the news and how stone cold he was after murdering his mother, his wife and children, imagine how more nervous he would look if he didn't, but just found out that happened. Like, it doesn't work
right.
either way.
But I think it would explain the vomit and everything out at the job site.
I think the vomit explains himself because, like I said, even if Chris did it, I think that this wasn't in his nature. I think it was specific
Right,
circumstances
right,
that led to this. So I think it makes sense for him to be sick with his actions because it's not something he wanted to do.
right. But it could go both ways. If somebody else brought the bodies out, then he could have been collapsing while they were doing whatever.
But
I
then
mean,
why just go along with it? And I get the battered male syndrome and the abused male, but why the hell would you admit to all that? Why? And
well,
not just admit to it, why would you go into such detail in talking with the Wisconsin confession about what you did to how you killed your children, what your children said, what those last moments were like, what they were doing, what you said to them? If
right,
you're
but
gonna just take the blame, you could just take the blame. But to give
I've only
such
listened to
awful
I've only listened to
detail.
parts of that Wisconsin confession, and I don't believe any of it. I don't believe it. I think it's odd to begin with that they even were allowed to visit him. That isn't how it works. I
Oh,
think it's odd.
absolutely.
I think it's very odd that any agency would have spent any amount of their resources to hop on a plane and fly to a different state to go chat with the murderer after conviction. I think it's odd that the prison let them in the door because not just anybody can walk in the door, no matter who they are. The prisoner has to be the one saying yes or no.
Oh, well,
They
we know how officially it's supposed to go down, but we are also well aware that they're able to do whatever the hell they want.
Well, a point, because I think Christopher Watts was so much the yes man every step of the way that I think that he was easily sized up and his personality is very easy to see. He sits there and self-soothes while he talks, I think, he rocks, he hugs himself. He's doing the motions. He's doing what's called symmetry.
Self-soothing. Yeah, he was
Yes.
self-soothing.
Yep, and he's trying to be symmetrical, and that's a way to try to center and balance. So, I don't. I do believe that I do believe he was a battered male, and I do believe that his words to his mother are very important. He said he has decided to take responsibility for it. I think if he's trying to tell his mother that he did it, then he would have said to his mother, I did it.
I think that there's a chance that he doesn't have the balls to directly tell them face to face or on the phone, listen, I did this,
I
I
think he
think
has the balls. He has told them off. He
I
has told them off big time.
telling them off, telling your mom to go F themselves is a lot different than looking them in the eyes and saying, I murdered my children and stuffed them in those tanks.
Right.
So I think in his way, he may have done all of these random confessions that we're all using, saying he confessed, and that was his way to try to get the information to his parents, like, yeah, I did this, but it wasn't enough for them to feel conclusive in he did this. So them, saying, well, no, that this doesn't add up with he's telling us, and so he doesn't know what else to do at this point because it didn't work. And obviously it wouldn't work for me either. I'd be like, what the hell's going on? You tell us one thing and then you do this and say another thing. But I don't think it must be one of the hardest things to do is to look at your parents, the mother that raised you, the one that, carried you in her stomach for 9 months, and say that you did these horrendous things to your children. I would have a very difficult time doing that because I don't think he was a cold-blooded murderer. I don't think he had that ability to look at his mom and say those things because that's just not his nature. He knows what he did and he knows how awful it is. And that's why he can't look at someone he loves that much and say those things.
Right. I think there's something else with the dynamics of that family. I think that probably he and his sister were very spoiled. I do. I think they were very spoiled. I think they're very I think they're spoiled. And I don't mean that spoiling is always bad, but I think that not only sheltered but spoiled. And so I think that he pretty much, like, here's one thing that's coming to my mind right now is that he said something in an interview with the police that his parents apologized for not coming to the wedding. Okay, this is just kind of an example to illustrate what I'm trying to say here, because I don't really mean spoiled. There's just something weird with the dynamic. The thought that his parents would have apologized for not going to that wedding is laughable. He should have been the one apologizing to them for how they were treated. The only reason they didn't go to the wedding was because of how badly they were being treated, and it was obvious they were not welcome there. And then he said in a police interview, yeah, they apologized for not going to the wedding. And I just thought, what? Ugh. He should have felt so bad for how his parents were treated. So bad, in fact, that they even chose not to attend. That should have sent him a message that the way they were being treated was absolutely, absolutely disrespectful, absolutely unacceptable. And instead he's like, yeah, but they apologized, like he and his wife were somehow the victims. You know what I mean? I think that's the dynamic. I think that he and his sister both pretty much have been treated like they can do no wrong. And I think they kind of own that a little bit. But that's a different dynamic than the dynamic within his marriage, which is a different question as to why would he accept responsibility if he didn't do this? And that has more to do, I think, with, are you familiar with what's called the Stockholm Syndrome?
Yes.
That to me would seem a little bit Stockholm, okay? Because I think that if he was a battered male, if he was afraid of his wife, I think he'll continue to be afraid of his wife even after her death.
Well, like I said, okay, if you want to go with that, I could believe if he just sat there and said, I did it, yep, I killed them, say the bare minimum of what they needed to hear. But what I can't do is think of a father who was battered. And yes, I believe he was battered. Whether he killed them or not, I believe he was battered. But what I can't do is think of a man who didn't kill his children and sit there and willingly say, well, yeah, I took them on that ride. They sat with Shanan, at their feet. I remember them asking me, what's that smell? Because she defecated herself. And
I'm
then I
thinking of
took
something,
that
Melissa.
blanket and wrapped it around my child's
I'm
head.
thinking of
Woke them up.
something.
No, 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 no.
How long have you been doing this? Like a year, was it?
It's actually been like almost 2 years. I didn't realize how much time
Okay.
went by.
Okay, because that February of 2019 prison interview, that was right after Set the Record Straight posted a series of videos that pretty much laid out his theory, and it all made sense. And there were a lot of people saying, whoa, that makes sense. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's this police interview, right, at the Wisconsin thing. And so many of those things in that interview actually were like, I'll use the word debunking or whatever. They sounded like they were designed to debunk Set the Record Straight's video start to finish.
Oh, I'm sure anybody who gets very close to the truth, they're going to automatically, come together and do what they can to make them seem as ridiculous as possible.
Right. And I don't believe that interview in Wisconsin. I think it was Honey Badger who said that it was actually like 5 hours taken down to 3 or 4 hours or something. And once again, you don't see his lips moving throughout the interview. It's the same thing with his police interviews that I don't trust. He shouldn't have had his back to the camera. The camera
absolutely not. That's actually, usually they would have one back to the camera, but one directly facing them forward.
Directly to his face, because any good defense lawyer is going to be able to say, how do I know what he said? We can't even see his face. I mean, with the way people can manipulate things, and I'm not saying law enforcement was all clandestine operation, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying any of that. But that February interview, post-conviction, post-sentencing, that February interview to me was a lot like the Dr. Phil show. Like, anything I heard on the Dr. Phil show was like, really? Really?
Okay, again, but that doesn't justify why would he go into such a grotesque detail. Even if he was making it up just to take responsibility, I would be like, what do you guys want? I did it. That's it. I would never reimagine this entire story, the horrific details.
Yeah, I have no idea. I think
couldn't even imagine.
It's all about the craziness of the case, because his words made no sense. There's no way in hell that those girls both died twice. There's no way in hell he shoved their little bodies in an 8-inch hole. There's so many.
I'm gonna say that, Miss Mensa. How else did they get in that damn hole? There's only one way in or one way out. The way they went in through the top 8-inch hole, or the way they went out through those freaking 1,000 bolts with that hatch door that can't just be, like I said, it's hundreds and hundreds of bolts you have to take off.
We don't know.
All that off, all the oil would come out. So that thing has to be drained first, the same way they came out. So they had to get in there.
That's not true. That's not true. And the amount of oil in there was very small compared to what they're wanting people to believe.
I don't care how much is in there, because the hatch is at the bottom of the tank. So even if there is just a foot of it, if you take that out, it's going to come pouring out.
They're not going to make maintenance from the top hole only. We don't know what those things are made of.
Maintenance is
we don't know exactly how they're designed.
That hatch hole is so that they can take samples and stuff. But everything is computerized these days. They really don't even have to do maintenance hands-on anymore. Even engineers these days, it's working behind a computer.
Well, if they have to go in and sample the oil, they have to have access to the oil. I think that we don't know the design of those, whatever they're called, silos, oil drums or whatever. We don't know. And that's a fact. We don't know. For all we know, there's a door on the other side of whatever video we're being shown. We don't know.
I think he doesn't know. When I hear him say, I genuinely don't know how this happened, I believe him. I believe whether he went into a state of psychosis, whether it was someone else who did it, whether he did it, where Shanan did it, I believe that it all was a blur. And he's waking up on the other side, and he's himself trying to put these pieces back together. I genuinely believe he doesn't know what he did, it was like a zombie-like state, and I don't know what part he played in it, but I don't think he's even conscious of what happened.
Right. Well, I think he left for work, and I think other people showed up. I do, and I think by the time of the interview that he was basically trying to go by whatever was.
But when though? Because there was only about an hour before people showed up at that work. So you're saying Chris Watts drove to work, and then Nicole Atkinson had to come, stumble upon it, have a reaction, make the call. Whoever is just ready on call to say, "Hey, I got to go clean up a body scene." Bring those kids over to Chris Watts' work and do all that without being caught? At what time? What time did that happen?
We have no idea. You know, I've had a lot of people tell me that they think that when he gave that interview on the porch that he didn't know yet what had happened.
Well, that would make more sense than it all happening within an hour after. Maybe if your theory is it happened at a later time, they didn't go into that ground,
And
and
some
royalty
people say that they
later.
didn't even. Some people say that the bodies weren't even disposed of until the following day.
Well, I heard that about too, because something doesn't add up with her rigor mortis. She was 3 days in that heat and sun, and it was record high temperatures. That would usually speed up the decomposing process, and she was still in rigor mortis when they unburied her.
So yeah, so I mean, I don't know, like, by me thinking that when he drove away that everybody was fine and he had no clue what was about to happen. That doesn't mean that I have a clue about how it happened. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's kind of like I think that, but I don't know exactly what the rest of it is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I do. I think when he left for work, I think that he left a very angry wife and two sleeping children.
Oh, I believe that. Without a doubt, I think Shanan went into the house that night and she was pissed about the lazy dog charge. I think she went in with receipt in hand, and ready to approach him.
And I don't think it had anything to do with a girlfriend either. I think that she was enraged because I think she realized she was no longer in control of him. And the video that I just put up to Patreon earlier, and I have a one for YouTube that I'm going to put up after this live chat. I put in there about the patch, being not on her body yet, which means there's a 40-minute window that it must have been her death occurred.
I don't necessarily believe that, because there are people who are more like me, and if I happen to be on that thrive, I wouldn't necessarily do it in the order that they tell me. I mean, that's if you seriously, strictly stick to 40 minutes. You wake up, pull that patch off, and then if she didn't have that patch on, that means she was at. You could have
But,
people who are more nonchalant like me who says, I'll do it at nighttime, or
well,
I'll just
but
take
she
that patch
did.
off
She
early.
did, though. She took morning showers, and she made many, many videos about it.
Unless
So,
she was wanting sex, then she would take nighttime showers.
well, if you're spotting and cramping and your husband is leaving you, you're probably, that whole sex thing is probably BS that she was telling her friends.
Oh, I know. I was making a joke.
Yeah, that's true. And plus,
Like, he knows if I shower, that means I want to. I'm sorry, but any sex that's pre-planned like that ain't good sex. Sex is supposed to be
exactly.
spontaneous and on the moment, not like, come on, sir, you see I am bathed and cleanly. Let's
Well,
go.
and back to the whole battered male syndrome thing. If a man snapped his fingers and told the woman when it was time to have sex, what
Oh,
would we be saying? You
patient
know,
peacemaker.
we would be saying that he's some kind of a scumbag abuser, right? And how
Absolutely. Misogynist pig.
exactly, but because she snapped her fingers and told him whenever he could get one up, you know. I mean, that's the saddest of sad to be, on command for somebody who wants it once a month. I mean, come on. That sounded bad.
But see, I don't necessarily think NK had anything to do with the murders, but I think she was a very, very manipulative person, and I
I
think
don't.
she knew she was pushing him to a point where something bad was going to end.
I don't think that at all. I think NK is more of a logical, linear person. Not. I think she's more of the male brain than the female brain. If you look at her college degree and if you look at her work record, I think
Nope, I'm not going by that. Because
And
like
she
I
always,
said, I know people who academically are so smart. They blow you out of the water. They don't need to study. They know absolutely can
I'm not
hold a
just
job.
talking
But
academically. Anybody
personality,
can get a 4.0. I'm not talking just academically. I'm
but
talking
personality, they are
she had
vicious. They are manipulative.
she had a degree though in a science field that is typically, I mean, it was a male dominated industry, okay? And I think that she was more of a logical linear thinker. I don't think she was into game playing, and I don't think she ever saw Shanan as competition. I
I
don't.
didn't say she thought of her as competition. It's about she wants to know she's hotter than her, that at the end of the day, Chris is going to choose her. It doesn't mean that she was in love with
No,
Chris or anything.
no, no,
Girls
no,
like to
no.
know. That's why
She had
girls
other
go to marry
guys.
men.
Chris was not her end all be all. She had other guys.
Oh, I know that. That's what I'm saying. Because she was playing games with him. To him, I think she was everything. I think she was everything for him. She was everything Shanan wasn't. She purposely, intentionally represented herself to be everything he didn't have, everything it was lacking in his life. And she played those games. And she saw what didn't work in his current relationship, and she made herself resemble everything that it wasn't and that it could be if he was with her. That doesn't mean that she gave a crap, because girls like that, all they care about is that they chose them. He left his wife for her because it gives them a boost of self dignity. It gives them a boost of courage and feeling confident. And she's manipulative. I know those types of girls. And a lot of people say if you have a problem with NK, that means that, you've been cheated on. No, I've never been cheated on, but I know those girls because that's a big reason why I don't get along with a lot of girls. And she is manipulative, and she knew what she was doing.
Oh, I don't see her being manipulative at all. Not at all. I look at her as a geologist type, and
So do
geologists.
you really think that she didn't know that he was married, and she didn't know that Shanan was pregnant, even though Shanan advertised her life all over social media, and she had all those pregnancy videos up, and she Googled Shanan Watts in 2017. So you think she didn't know that they were pregnant?
I think that he told her they were separating and getting a divorce.
Oh, what about the baby?
I don't think that he told her that he thought it was his.
Oh, but so you're saying that you think she is straightforward and to the point, and any of that fishy shit? All right, wait. Your wife is pregnant. You say you're getting ready for divorce, yet she's Googling Ronnie Watts. She's Googling 2825 Saratoga Trail. She know it's not been posted up for sale yet. And you think, well, it's either one or the other. You think she's either straightforward and doesn't deal with the nonsense, or she's completely dealing with the nonsense because it doesn't make sense.
I think that marriage was over, and I think she was having sex with a coworker who was getting divorced. And I don't think her identity had anything to do with whether or not she ever had any future with him. I think she was having sex. I think she was having sex. And I don't think she was as into him as he was into her. And I don't even think he was that into her, quite frankly. I think they were having a summer of sex. And I think he was on his way out the door. And I think that he was having some fun along the way. And it's too bad he didn't go see a divorce lawyer that summer instead of spending his time doinking his coworker.
Well, the same way that she said, "Oh, when I heard he was going to North Carolina, I told him to work things out with his family." Well, if you're taking the side that she believed he was getting a divorce and separating, why would she tell him go work on your family? That shows that there's still a chance in her mind that they could still be together.
Well, that would be something that you would say, isn't it?
No, not if I'm invested and I'm putting my time in with this person. I wouldn't be sleeping, one, with a married guy, let alone two, with a guy who, is there a chance your family could still work out, or is it not?
Well, and
Because
it might be her way of saying, is there a chance it might work out, to say go work on your family.
okay, but then again, once he gets to North Carolina, she immediately started messaging saying, "Are you with her? Why can't you talk?" Because he said, "I can't talk. I can only text." Well, why can't you talk? And made him call her. That doesn't seem like somebody that you want to go, please, if this is going to work out for your family's sake, go and try. That seems like someone who's manipulating, because she wanted it not to work out. She wanted him to run back to her and say, "No, I can't do it. You're the only one for me. I choose you." That's what she wanted.
Yeah. Nah, the marriage was over. Keep in mind too, he said he wanted to find an apartment for him and Bella and Cece. He never mentioned the baby. I think that marriage was over. I think that he probably told her he was sleeping in the basement. They were separated. She was gone for 5 weeks. Why would you not believe that story if she's gone for 5 weeks, right? You know what I
But
mean? I don't think she cared enough to really find out whatever.
I don't think she
I
was
don't think she
getting
cared.
her information from Chris. He could say whatever he wants. Her phone dump proved to everyone that she was doing her own research. She was keeping tabs on her and the family, what was going on. So he could say one thing and the all social media is going to reveal another. So you don't have to be, the brightest crayon in the box to figure things out.
Okay, but if she's looking up Ronnie or whatever, so what? Like, so what?
Sorry, say that again.
If you're doinking your coworker and you look up his dad, so what?
No, I'm not saying so what. I'm saying for this specific scenario, to say I think that she was straightforward and she didn't play games, yet it seems like she played a lot of games.
And I don't see her playing any games. I look at her from a scientist point of view, that she, with her training, with her experience, with her work record, you do realize she worked like a lot. She worked with men, okay? I don't see her as what we think of people hopping on the internet and searching out people and stuff. She may have clicked on and checked out Ronnie. She may have clicked on and checked out whatever. She may have clicked and checked whatever, but I don't see it as being an emotional, manipulative, whatever. I see her as being more logical and linear, and she was having sex with a coworker. I think she believed that they were divorcing, and I think he believed it too. I think that marriage was over months before.
No, I think that she loved the sex because the sex in any relationship is good, but what she loved most is that this sex was outstanding for Chris. This sex was new. This sex was something he's never did before, and this sex was different and it was thrilling, and he loved that she made him feel that way, and she wanted to keep that going, and she wanted to see how far she could take it. And I think that you just don't have it in your head to be that kind of way, which is a good thing. You're good hearted and you don't want to think that people are like that. But I'm telling you, as a 30-year-old woman, there are a lot of girls like this. There are a lot of girls like this. They don't
Like
care what
she's
you destroy, they just want to feel wanted.
well,
Feeling
and
wanted
my
feels
point
good.
is, it was already destroyed. Like in my mediation practice, I see couples all the time who are still living together, but they're getting divorced. And they're moving on to other relationships while they're both still living in the marital home. So I see it all the time. I don't see it as I don't see any, that marriage was through. Why did she tell the hairstylist she was getting divorced and looking forward to being single again?
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about their marriage. I'm talking about NK and
Well,
her marriage.
if we're going to say NK's destroying something, there has to be something to destroy.
No,
I
I'm
think
not saying she's destroying anything. I'm saying her mentality is like there are a lot of girls like this. Why do girls go for married men? Because they want to feel wanted. They want to feel like this man
right, and
is
I'm
willing
saying,
to give up his life, his kids,
and
his
I'm not on
house,
the same
everything
page at all,
for
because I
her.
don't think she was going after a married man. I think that she definitely viewed him as a divorcing man, right?
Was he married?
That's not the
Wait.
the
Was
point.
he
If she's
married?
viewing him as a divorcing man, there are a lot of people getting divorced who are dating already before the divorce is final. Some states it's a 1 year wait. So in that year, a lot of
But
people are
she was
dating.
pregnant.
Right,
That
but I
would make
don't.
the sense if like circumstances were different. But here, if you take one Google of Shanan, and we know for certain she did,
So
you
what?
would
So
see
what?
all these family. So it would be evident
So
that
what?
this
If
is
Chris
not
is
the way
telling
he's
her
claiming it is.
if Chris is telling her that it isn't his baby, if he's telling her he wants an apartment for him and for his 2 kids, so what if she's pregnant?
But
Maybe
that's
he,
not what she claimed. She didn't say claim. Did Chris claimed it wasn't his baby? She said I didn't even know she was pregnant. So now you're
Well,
just putting words in her mouth to make her story work, but that's not even what she said. She said she didn't even know he was pregnant.
when did she find out that she was pregnant?
She claimed when this whole thing occurred.
Because there was some remark made, and I'm trying to think where it was made, if it was Chris or if it was NK. There was a remark made about him wanting NK's help to find an apartment for him and for the two girls, for bunk beds, blah, blah, blah. No mention at all of the baby. And there was some remark made, and I think it was NK who said it, that wasn't his kid. So whoever he told that to, or however that came out, I don't know. And keep in mind, the whole NK thing, it was dug into big time in October, November, December, January of 2018, early 2019. And it was debunked over and over and over again with all sorts of different, whatever, right? It was all debunked. This whole thing of NK is somehow involved. This has been what I think
No, I
is.
didn't say I think NK was involved. I said I don't
No,
think
I'm
she
not
was
saying
involved in
you.
the murder.
I'm not saying you. I didn't say you said it. I'm saying that this whole NK business that's been video after video, right?
Right. Oh,
I
you mean
think
like
that's
AD, who's made his whole friggin'
I think that's the
everything
biggest
on this?
distraction of all. I don't think NK was involved at all. I think that that's the biggest distraction of all is they want people to think because Set the Record Straight did a series of videos that pretty much got a lot of people going, wait a minute here. And people were already, the very first month that people were talking about this case, like the end of September, early October, there were probably more people in the discussion group saying that he did not kill anybody than people saying he was a monster. Okay. So those few months there, I personally think this whole NK business is nothing but a distraction because I think what they want is to have so much, what's the old saying, you throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks or whatever. They want to keep people busy. They want to keep people confused. The NK thing is just a non-issue. It just is.
No, at the end of the day, I don't think it relates directly to the murder, but I'm expressing my opinion on what would lead up to this tragedy. Where would his mindset be if he did this? Where would her mindset be if she did this? And all I'm saying is I think she was a very manipulative person and she knew what she was doing was gonna lead to heartbreak at the end of the day.
Right, but you know how we talk about Christopher Watts sometimes, and we wonder if he was maybe like on the spectrum and stuff like that because of the way his brain worked. I think the same thing is with NK. Um, ooh, Melissa, would you mind talking for a little bit? I've got to grab this call.
Okay, sure.
Okay, thank you, dear.
Okay, so I see that there's a lot of different opinions as far as NK goes in the chat. Like I said, I don't think she necessarily had anything to do with it. In just my opinion, I think she was a manipulative girl. I've met girls like that. I know girls like that. And that's just my opinion. But do I think she had anything directly to do with the murders? No. But I think that she very well knew something would end in tragedy, whether it be the breakup of their family, Shanan finding out and it being a heartbreak, whatever it may be. But that's just my opinion. Okay. Why you gotta mention how much they enjoyed their sex? Haha, of course, sex is great in every relationship, is in the beginning regardless. Well, such ball in my opinion, because sex is a huge part of any relationship. And if you come to my standpoint, which is Chris wasn't a cheater, I don't believe. I think this was probably the first relationship he had outside of his marriage. And I think it played a huge part because if you know about that, you would know that it's a thrilling feeling. You're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, but at the same time, you want it so badly. And to him, it felt so good. It felt exhilarating. And I think it added on to why he was so obsessed into that relationship with NK. All right. Yes, NA needs the attention NK has gotten. Say how one because it hasn't been. Miss Mensa, you keep saying it was debunked, but you can't say how and when because it hasn't been debunked at all. NA and Sun were in there. They have to be suspects. Okay, Chrissy, then I'll ask you, because I asked Miss Mensa the same thing. When do you think Shanan and the girls got to the oil site then? Because the only thing I'm struggling with is when, there was barely enough time in the Chris timeline to do the murders before all the people came. So when do you think NA and whoever was, part of it had time to bring the bodies to the work site and not run into all the employees there? And he was neglected by his wife, so to be free and add sex, it was probably mind-blowing, and why he Googled love. Yes, exactly, Clover. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's, to some people, sex isn't that much of a deal, but to other people, it's a big deal. It's exhilarating, and it's fun, and it's free, and you feel this connection that you don't feel with another person, and I think it made his mind spin. NK's actions, all of them, female human nature, nosy, not wanting something unless someone else has it, etc. Yeah, I absolutely agree, Shenanigan Maker. Maybe there's time if some strong men helped. Okay, but what strong men? That's all I'm saying, is that I could get along with a theory, but in my head, I need it to make sense. So if Chris drove to work that day and had no idea what happened, and NA arrived at whatever time, saw that Shanan maybe killed the girls and overdosed, was over the toilet, how much time elapsed for her to have the reaction of what the hell's going on? For her to make a call to who? To Sandy and Frank? And for then Sandy and Frank to have their reaction, think about, all right, what are we going to do? Send whoever is on call and ready to go over to that house and empty out those bodies and clean that crime scene, and then bring them to Chris's work site, again, where all the coworkers are, do whatever they have to do to them, and then also get in contact with Chris and let him know, hey, this is the deal, you're going down for it, or play it off this way. So it's all about when did they have time to do that? Okay, Ty was in on the date Chris was in it. It was not 20, it was only in Discovery. This whole thing doesn't make sense. Yeah, absolutely, Cosmic Messenger, and that's the problem, is that there's too many unanswered questions. Chris Watts said multiple times there were no cameras in the backyard. Okay, Maria, so then what's your theory? You think they were taken out the back, but by who? Right, Clover. That's the part. Like, I'm open to every theory. Like I said a million times, I'm not certain on what I believe happened yet, but the timing, you have to look at what we do know and what we do have, and I'm trying to put the different theories in and see what fits the best, but I just don't understand where the time could have been, unless they didn't bring the bodies there to the oil site that day, unless it was maybe Tuesday, but I'd have to have more, more information to try to put that together. Like, who did it? Who brought them there? Who was on call for them to say, hey, this just happened, we need to clean this up? Who was willing to put their life on the line for that? Genuine question. Why do you all care so much about this particular case, coming from a noob? I think people care so much about this case because it's very relatable to us nowadays. Everyone's so tech savvy, and personally, I know a lot of people like Shanan, just scrolling through my own Facebook, and so seeing her, I see a lot of people through her, and seeing this family, you're able to go back and really have a different viewpoint and go through their everyday, their emotions and how they lived and everything she gave to us through her social media. And also the fact that Chris just genuinely never seemed like a guy that would do this. So I think the questions are between what made the perfect storm for this to occur, but also there's so many things that aren't adding up in this case. So that's why it strikes a lot of interest with people, because no matter which way we look, nobody's theory is concrete because none of it fits. So we're all just trying to put the pieces together. Yeah, exactly, Freudian slip. It's a big ass someone getting someone to cart 3 bodies on a 45-minute drive. That's my point. You know, like, if you're gonna say someone else came in and cleaned it, who was on call? Who was like, yo, I gotta call, Bob up, because I gotta get these bodies cleaned up. Like, who did they call to get those bodies out there if Chris Watts was seriously unaware of what was going on? When Chris Watts came in to let the cops in with NA and her son, he closed the back drapes on the back door. Why would he do that? No one knows what happened. That is why we're also talking about it. Again, if it wasn't NK, it would have been the next girl. Danielle, you think that? I think there's a chance he may have cheated, but I think he wasn't going to just cheat with anyone. I think NK was a specific circumstance that everything about her resembled everything that Shanan wasn't. And like I said, I think she was manipulative, and I think she played off that and made it even more intriguing for him. And I really just want to know what's that dark, dark stuff that he says that she was into. I'm very curious to find out what that is. Exactly. That's why I get pissed off when people say he doesn't deserve a trial, Clover, because it doesn't matter what view you take on it. Everyone deserves due process. Everyone deserves their day in court. And if at the end of the day, Chris did it, then you have nothing to worry about, because that's what the trial's going to prove. If at the end of the day there was accomplices, then there's just going to be accomplices that are going to be incarcerated. Or if he didn't do it and he becomes exonerated, great. But what are you so scared of with a trial? A trial is to get the answers and to find out the truth. So even if you are against Chris Watts or you believe he did it, great. You should have nothing to be scared of, because at that day at the trial, that's what's going to be proved, and nothing is going to change. So what's the issue? I don't get it. I think NK was her caretaker, and I think her guilt comes from not doing her job and letting the authorities or her caseworker aware of how bad it was. You mean NA? I don't think NK was her caretaker, shenanigan maker. But I know Mensa believes that too. See, I think that NA probably was Shanann's caretaker, but I don't think she was hired. I think it was something that, as Sandy left, NA was someone that she had worked with and gotten close with, and she knew that she was going back to North Carolina, and she knew NA and Shanann lived near each other. So she probably reached out to NA and said, hey, would you mind looking after, her, keeping an eye on her and whatnot. And their relationship blossomed from there. But I don't know necessarily if I believed NA was a hired hand. But the more that I talk to Mensa and you about it, I'm definitely thinking that there's a possibility. He had seen the light, and she was losing way more than he did. Oh, absolutely. That's why I think, why would Chris do this? He very easily could have just walked away. And he was looking for apartments for his children. And why would he be looking up for apartments that have room for his children if he was planning on annihilating his whole family? I think Shanann had everything to lose. Think about her entire life and what she would have if her and Chris separated. She would have nothing. She wouldn't be able to afford any of that on her own. She wouldn't be able to continue buying Thrive, let alone to sell Thrive. Okay, she'd have to force to go back to a regular 9-to-5 job like everybody else. She wouldn't afford to be able to keep those kids in the daycare, that insane amount of money they were paying each month. So she'd have to either get enough money to go to regular daycare, put them in while she worked, or find someone like everyone else does to babysit while you work. And she would have probably a small studio apartment. She'd have to give in the Lexus and have a regular Honda like everyone else does. She had everything to lose. And that's a reason why I'm willing to believe maybe Shanann did this, because what would she have if Chris actually decided to walk away? But why I struggle with it is because what if Shanan killed those girls and she didn't kill herself? If you believe Shanan killed the girls and Chris killed her in retaliation, was she just going to accept that everyone on her social media and everyone in the world was going to know she killed her kids? What if she killed her kids and then committed suicide, like a lot of you believe? Okay, well, what if the truth came out, if that was the circumstances and people didn't cover up for her? Was she willing to accept that everyone knew she killed her kids? I don't think there's any chance that Shanan would allow. Look at how much she cared about her self-image. Look how much she cared about. It doesn't matter what like happened behind the scenes at their house. All she cared about was the image she was portraying on that Facebook, on that social media. I have a hard time wrapping my head around she would be okay with everybody knowing she murdered her children and then committed suicide. I don't see how they could afford the daycare, or did they have they couldn't afford the daycare. Their daycare costs as much as their mortgage each month. He had no money to rent an apartment. He had no money to rent an apartment. He didn't or couldn't. He had no money while he was with her. But the moment that Chris decides to leave Shanan, he would have a lot of money to pay for an apartment. If she snapped, she may have not been thinking of the future. Maybe she had an agenda to hurt Chris Watts or destroy him. For the parents that's accused of maltreatment, I mean, as much as I know that Shanan did very questionable things during her life, like I said earlier, I definitely think she had Munchausen by proxy. I just, as much as I can't think Chris would have killed his girls, I can't imagining Shanan kill his girls. And that's what makes me so frustrated here, is I can't actually see any of them doing it. I could see Shanan deliberately medicating her children and doing what she needs for attention, but I don't actually think I could see her just killing those children. I would be very curious to know if she had seen Gone Girl in close time frame of the tragedy, right? That there's a lot of similarities and synchronicities between that movie and the case. On both sides, even if Chris supposedly killed them, I'm sure he also wouldn't want that image. Oh, no, absolutely. She took a phone call, Slushy Ball. It's hard to say either without physical evidence, concrete proof. That's the problem, like Clover, is that's what I'm saying, is that there's so many different various opinions and theories, but each one that you try to put in place, there's either something that doesn't add up here or something there. None of them are concrete. There's always going to be questions. So how can we walk away with the confession or with what the police are coming out and telling us, or even our own theories, when none of them add up? There's something missing. And that's why I like to dissect this case. And it's not about bashing a dead woman, not at all. It's about, this is what occurred, what happened, and how can we prevent this from occurring again in the future. And I feel like there's going to be one little tiny seed that's going to drop, and it's going to blow this whole case wide open, because that's all we need. Is we just need to keep continuing putting each little bit together. Okay, this fits here. Okay, this doesn't, but this fits here. Okay. And then one day we're going to get that golden piece, and we're going to be able to see the full image of the puzzle from it. Melissa, how could you not see her killing the kids? She was already harming them. I don't know. Like, I'm very well aware that she was harming them. I know that. But when it comes down to closing my eyes and thinking her approaching Chris that night and freaking out about the charge from Lazy Dogs, I'm trying to see what would make her go up to those rooms and smother those kids. I don't think she would have done it because there was nothing to gain from it. Why would she do that? Would she be willing to spend the rest of her life in jail? Did she commit suicide right after and she was willing just to take that image for the rest of her life as a baby killer? That's what I struggle with, because Shanan cared so much about her image. I can't see her doing that. The missing thing in my opinion, is there's an opiate thing going on amongst a few of them. I've heard that. I've heard, NA was buying pills off of Shanan. I've heard a lot of theories with the opiates thing, and I'm sorry, but if you have lupus and any neurological disorder, you don't usually get prescribed opiates for that. Opiates are a very hard prescription. There's a huge epidemic going on with it, and that's not something you would get prescribed 30 milligram, 80 milligram oxy for. He took care of them. Shanan Watts was on Facebook eating nasty candy bars. Well, that's what pissed me off the most, is people want to talk about how great of a mother Shanan was. Even if you think Chris is guilty, she said she did more of 90% of what women do. Chris did 90% more of what normal men would do. He woke up every morning, went to work, came back home while she sat on her ass all day long talking about how she is a stay-at-home mom. She's got both these girls, these little monsters. Came home, switched the damn cars to drive back out, pick those kids up from daycare, bring them back home, feed them dinner, wash them, put them in bed by 6:30. What mother does that? I'm sorry, but that's ludicrous. What are you doing all day long? What are you doing? $20,000 worth of stock of Thrive in your basement? She was her biggest customer. Yeah, I agree, Boomtown Cow. She would have killed them slowly over time, not instant murder. I agree that. Like, if this was something like she slowly evolved in the Munchausen by proxy and she started putting things in the kids' ventilators, like the Gypsy Rose Blatchard case, I think if this was a murder she was able to pass on like it was a tragic accident and the sickness killed one of them, I would believe that, because she would gain the attention and the sympathy. But I struggle with, why would she do that this night? What would she gain from it? Exactly, Manny. She was with them 2 hours a day. And I just saw a post today, like she gave those kids Benadryl and Tylenol every night. And then she's like, she posted a picture of Bella, face down on the couch. And she's like, 9:30 a.m. Kid just woke up, from 12 hours of sleep and already he's, ready for a nap and sleeping. And it's like, what normal kid under normal circumstances will sleep 12 hours a night, be up for 2 hours, and is face down on the couch, passed out before they go to a birthday party? That is not natural. That means you are giving your child substances that is specifically making them sleep. And even when they weren't asleep, I took a bunch of screenshots today because there are new groups that came up and a lot of old things that were resurfacing of Bella sitting locked in her room in the dark reading a book. Like, it's 6:45 at night. You couldn't even let your child read one more book before you lock them in the dark. They have to sit in a small chair in the pitch black at 6:45 reading a book. I don't care what parent. That's bad parenting. Last messages to Chris was, you only either me first the girls and those types of. That's the problem, Slushy Bowl, is that normally if parents separate, the one thing you'd want is, listen, at the end of the day, put our shit aside. For the kids' sake, please let's get along. She despised that Chris chose the girl. All in her text messages, it would be, he doesn't even give a crap about me. You're only with me because the girls. You only talk when it's around the girls. You only love those girls. You should be thankful that those are the circumstances, because under a different set of circumstances, you couldn't prevent the evil between the fighting of the spouses to not get involved with the children. You would hope under the best circumstances that it would be, hey, let's separate us, but don't take it out on the kids. You still be their dad. Mom and dad has nothing to do with wife and husband. How are you mad about that? She should have been thankful that, listen, at the end of the day, you put on that best face for those kids, and those kids would have no idea if we were having any issues or not. That's a good parent. You stomping your feet because your husband is putting on a good face for those kids and cares enough to stay with your ass for those kids makes him a good father. Exactly, Chrissy. You've been through a divorce. You can no idea what can happen. Ugly, ugly things happen. I came from a family of, divorced parents. It is ugly. Me and my daughter's father separated, and the one thing I always begged was please, for God's sake, do not, Melissa and Joe has nothing to do with mom and dad. Let's always separate that. Let's always come together for those children. Let's co-parent. Let's be on the same page for the child's sake. I'm not stomping my feet because you're paying attention to our kid, but you don't want to be with me. What about me? That's ludicrous. That shows how self-involved she was. That's scary. That's concerning. That's my problem with 3 of a Kind, is that how could it have been on her way to work when it didn't even ping any of the other times when she was going to work. I think she probably drove past there and was snoopy. I think she knew Shanan was coming home that night, and the same way that she made Chris send her a picture that morning at the oil site saying, prove to me you're at work. She wanted to know that she was his choice, in my opinion, and that he didn't happen to stay home that morning with Shanan and talk over things and try to get things to, work out. That's just my opinion. I'm not contradicting myself, Curious C. Yes, I say I can't see her killing her kids, but I don't agree with what she did in her life. I flat out, if you know me from any of the other lives, I don't know what I think. So I'm not trying to contradict myself. Like I said, I'm trying to put those pieces together on my own to figure out, well, I feel this way and I feel this way. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened like everyone else is. Because she wants to be with him, and obviously him being married, it makes her feel a certain way. I don't blame her. Like I said, I know a lot of girls that it's not even about the guy for them. It's about, he chose me. He left everything for me. It makes them feel superior. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel confident. Like, he gave up everything for me. That's what, in my opinion, NK was doing. Nobody has to agree with me. Exactly, Leaving Landon. All you need to see is she spent as little time as possible with her young growing girls, but complained the absolute most. Because I know I was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years straight, every single day. And I didn't even complain as much as she was complaining. Because even on your worst day, even in the worst moment, a second later, you're going to cherish it and say, no, they're going to remind you of why you do this. How can you be on your lives doing nothing all day long and complaining? And I'm sorry, the way that she kept saying Cece was a ball of fire, Cece seemed very normal to me. Cece didn't seem any crazier than any other normal kid. I think she got specifically lucky with Bella. Bella happened to be the odd one out. Bella happened to be very calm and soothing. She was adorable, by the way. But I think Cece was more on a normal kid behavior. But she always complained about Cece. Exactly, Maria. Shanan said before they got married that Chris was a lucky guy. And that's why Cindy didn't like him initially. Well, had a bad feeling about her initially. I'll rephrase that, is because, like, she complained about the way he dressed. He kept saying how lucky he was to be with her, that she was completely out of his league. Come on. That's what I struggle with, Jeanette. I struggle with Chris Watt killing his children. What would he have to gain? I think he had every possibility to just, if he just put one foot out that door, he would have everything, because you could talk a big game, but at the end of the day, Shanan had no control. And unfortunately, I don't think he was able to see that. Like, if you just simply put this house on the market, bring back that Lexus, because Lord knows it was in his name, and walk away, there's nothing she could do. There's nothing. And I think she was starting to realize that that was the case. Yeah, Danielle, Shanan wants to try to do SIDS in the pics we saw. It was very concerning seeing constant photos of your child in a crib with a blanket wrapped around their head. They're not even supposed to have a blanket in that crib with them, but let alone sitting there taking pictures. The same way that when Cece was stuck on the sink on the counter, and she was just standing there, and she's literally reaching out for help and struggling. And she's just like, "What'd you do, Cece? Like, what's this mess? You weren't supposed to go." Well, first of all, maybe if you give your kid water, they wouldn't need to go to drink out of the toilets and the freaking sink. But she's sitting there, and okay, 1-2 seconds, I could see it, haha. But after 30 seconds standing there, pick your kid up. She's struggling. Where's Miss Mensa? Oh, you guys don't have to agree whatsoever with what I'm saying. I don't even know why I'm sitting here talking. I don't have a channel. I'm just trying to fill up the gaps. But as you can see how confused I am. Like, I believe one thing about them, but I struggle with another thing. Maybe I just struggle with imagining any parent doing what they did to, with one of them, someone did to those kids. I struggle with that fact. I can't, maybe I'm not getting the image because I can't even put myself in that position to imagine what would lead someone to do something like that. My brain just doesn't work that way. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. I'm just looking through the comments. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about? Yes, I'm a mother, Lainey, of one beautiful daughter.
Hey, Melissa.
Wow, where'd you go?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you heard my phone ring. I'm sorry. Sorry, you guys. But I heard you. I went into the other room and I heard you the whole time. My goodness, when are you going to start your own channel, girl?
I have no desire to. Like, I don't know what my opinion is. So how am I supposed to start a channel? I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, you do a good job talking. Did you get to the menstrual part? I was wondering.
Oh, I didn't continue the video without you.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I think it's kind of cool that we totally forgot about it.
That's how much it matters.
Right, exactly. I think that's probably the best way to do it. So what have you, but yeah, Chrissy Northern says MM has deserted us. Aw.
I don't even remember what we talked about. We kind of bounced around on a little bit of everything. We went into NK for a while.
Oh, good, good. Because I think I was probably kind of irritating people in the chat with my NK opinions. Oh, good, good.
Nah, I think we pretty much covered that I don't know what happened. Like, I really don't. I struggle. Like,
That's
I
the
can
thing with
see
this case. We
everything
don't
Shanan did
know.
while she was alive, but struggle with her doing it. But I also struggle with Chris doing it, and it's struggling. I can't
know it.
imagine anyone doing that.
That's why 2.5 years later, we're all discussing this case because none of it makes sense. None of it really fits. You have to like really go far out there in order for any of it to really fit, right? And then you kind of look at all the different angles and go, I don't know. All I know is when I see those videos and I see the look in Bella's eyes, I just think something isn't right with this story we're getting. I love it. Lainey says, welcome to the panel. They're saying, good job, Melissa. Melissa did a great job.
Thanks,
Okay, you guys.
everyone. Thanks for putting up with me.
Let's see it in the chat with hearts or however you do it with your cute little emojis. How many people want Melissa to start her own channel? Come on, Melissa.
Come on. I wouldn't torture people like that.
Oh, Melissa, you would do a great job. Come on.
Maybe if it was for a different topic, but this specific case, for once and for everything, I have such a strong like theory of my own regarding something. But with this case, my mind's just I just can't. I can't.
You know what you could do? You could do the John Bonet case because you know that case like the back of your hand. You could do a channel on the John Bonet case.
Yeah, maybe. But you know what? I actually take the time that's needed for my daughter, so that's why I can't always hop on every live because I'm putting raising her first, so I don't want to commit to something because I can't give anyone else a definite time of when I'm going to be there to do something, and that wouldn't be fair to anyone who wants to listen.
Right, exactly. Well, hey guys, how about we call it a night? I'm seeing what they're saying. Look at all those hearts and stars for you, Melissa.
Jamie, Melissa, if you listen to yourself, you are convinced Shanan is the killer. Probably.
Melissa should go to law school. Look at this. Take the
I've been
prereqs.
told that my entire life, Shenanigan.
Well, it's time, Melissa. It's time.
Apparently, I just argued with myself on this entire live.
Good job. If you can argue with yourself, you can argue with anybody.
Exactly. Well, thanks for having me up, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much, Melissa.
Okay, all right. I'll talk to you guys soon. I look forward to it.
Good night. See you soon. We'll see you Friday for sure.
Look forward to it.
Okay, thanks, Melissa.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I do need to take off right now, so how about we see each other Friday night, and then I'll have 5 of the titles, and then we'll vote on the titles for the book, too. We'll work on the witness lists also for the mock trial, and we're still looking for 2 more prosecutors. So everybody think about which witness you want to be or whether or not you want to be a prosecutor. That'd be cool. We have our judge, we have our defense team, but we need some really good witnesses. So, okay, let's all say goodnight. Good night, John Boy. Bye-bye, Jennifer. Bye-bye, Chrissy. Bye-bye, Kathy Joe. Bye-bye, Shenanigan Maker. How did it go today in court? Did you fall asleep? Jean says, please hop over to Voices MM. I don't know who Voices is. Is that the voices behind the wall or the voices behind the door? Good night, Kathy Joe. I don't have Melissa's email, Shenanigan Maker. Melissa, if you're still in the chat, can you give Shenanigan Maker your email? Good night, Grandma. Oh, you guys are fun. Okay, good night, everybody. Be safe, be healthy, and know. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on here. Shenanigan Maker says, I drew blood with my teeth. Okay, good night, everybody. Be healthy, be safe, and know that you are loved. Good night.